My name is Pam Palermo. I am the St. George Chamber of Commerce Executive Director and CEO. Everyone, please stand with me and pledge our allegiance to our American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to recognize anyone who is joining us for the first time. Raise your hand. Anybody? Welcome. I'm so glad to see all of you here today. This is truly my favorite luncheon. I absolutely love it. I walked in the door today and I already started crying. I'm prepared to cry later today as we get presented some wonderful information. So I did wear mascara that doesn't run. If you're a high school student and you're visiting with us today, can you just stand right now? So these students were handpicked from Dixie, Pineview, Desert Hills, Snow Canyon, and Hurricane High schools to participate in Leadership Academy. It's a program that's modeled after Leadership Dixie. Today, they're here to meet you, the members of our business community. These are our future leaders of Washington County. I hope you'll take some time to introduce yourselves to them. Thank you. At this time, allow me to introduce our head table. We have today's lunch sponsor, Cache Valley Bank President John Jones, as well as our board chair-elect from Live Well, Trevor Smith. And right here to my left is the infamous and amazing Terry Kane. She's the Vice President of Intermountain Healthcare Southwest Regional and CEO of Dixie Regional Medical Center. Over here, I have Gary Stone. He is the Intermountain Southwest Region Operations Officer. We have Dr. Terrence Rhodes. I have to find you guys on here, who directs immuno-oncology. I'm so bad with this. For Intermountain Precision Genomics, who will, let's see, we have Dr. Derek Haslam, who directs medical oncology for Intermountain Precision Genomics. And we also have, oh, thank you, Bryce. We also have Bryce Moulton. He's the Clinical Research Director for Intermountain Precision Genomics, and they will all be speaking to us today. As a courtesy to our presenters today, please turn off all of your cell phones. Thank you. Just a few announcements. Due to Thanksgiving, we'll have no chamber luncheon next week. We will, however, have a professional women's business luncheon on Wednesday, November 29th, featuring Jenny Ritchie, who will present Staying on the Success Path when your business, job, or life throws you a curveball. It'll be held at Hilton Garden Inn. Our December Inspirational Luncheon will be on December 6th at Courtyard by Marriott and will feature, this is so cool, the Utah Jazz president, Steve Starks. Make your reservations. Lastly, Intermountain's Health own Joel DeCuster will have a 3-hour workshop on December 7th called Make 2018 Your Best Year Yet. And I think I saw a tree out there for him. He came in my office yesterday and he was covered with sparkles. So I know he's been working hard. Make sure you go out and see that. So Cache Valley Bank is a hometown bank that's owned and operated by members of the local community. All decisions are made locally by the people you know and trust. With 13 locations and online services for consumers and businesses, Cache Valley Bank is always ready to serve your banking needs. Whether you are an individual in need of a simple checking account, a business looking for more extensive services, or perhaps somewhere in between, you have options at Cache Valley Bank. The bank's mission since its inception has been to provide services to small businesses, farmers, and residents of Utah. John Jones, president of Cache Valley Bank, is here to tell us about their bank's community involvement, which also includes the fact that they are today's sponsor. Please welcome John.
Thank you for having us. We're grateful to be a part of the Chamber here in St. George and this great event. I've left several messages, personal messages for Dr. Haslam, so it's good to catch up with him here and be able to resolve those. So thanks for having me. We're grateful to be part of the community. Cache Valley Bank, a lot of people wonder, Cache Valley and St. George, and what are you doing down here? And we'd love to meet with you and tell you about that. We're grateful for the vision that several of the chamber members have. We're grateful for Terry's vision of St. George and Precision Economics vision, and we're grateful to be a small part of that. Thank you.
So, I've got a great announcement today. This summer, the St. George Area Chamber teamed up with Southwest Utah Public Health Department and Intermountain Healthcare to offer residents a healthier option when dining out. The following restaurants received a Good For You Dixie Award in 2017. Canyon Breeze, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle Mexican Grill, Cliffside Restaurant, Dixie Regional Medical Center, Sandstone Cafe, Einstein Brother Bagels, Even Stevens, Great Harvest Bread Company, Honolulu Grill, Kaili's Restaurant, hope I said that right, Roomby Island Grill, Teriyaki Grill, Twisted Noodle Cafe, and Zatava Gardens Cafe. Each restaurant offered a special healthy meal at a discount for consumers, and we asked our consumers to rate them. After tallying the votes, Great Harvest Bread Company was rated the favorite healthy restaurant in 2017. Here to accept their award is owner Sherry Brumund. Let's give them another hand. On behalf of the Southwest Utah Public Health Department, the St. George Area Chamber of Commerce, Intermountain Healthcare, we thank all these businesses for holding high standards and offering healthy entree options in our area. So today, the focus of the Jubilee of Trees and this luncheon is the future is bright. With new targeted drugs and immunotherapy, Intermountain Precision Genomics offers personalized cancer treatment and a new approach to treating cancer. Precision Genomics has been proven to increase the lifespan of late-stage cancer patients at a lower cost than traditional methods. Intermountain Healthcare has been studying precision medicine extensively for the past several years and has developed its nationally leading precision cancer genomics program, located here at Dixie Regional Medical Center in St. George. Terry Kane is the administrator and CEO, she administers too, and CEO of Dixie Regional. Kane began her career with Intermountain Healthcare more than 30 years ago as a nurse in the newborn intensive care unit of McKay D Hospital in Ogden. She started in St. George as the hospital's chief operating officer and became the chief executive officer administrator in January of 2006. In 2011, she also became the Southwest Region Vice President. She was just promoted to serve as the Associate Chief Operations Officer of Clinical Programs for all of Intermountain Healthcare. She will remain, yeah, no kidding, yeah, well. She's going to remain here locally to continue to shape the completion of the expansion that she was so instrumental in putting together, along with Dixie Regional Medical Center's Administrator, Mitch Cloward. Today, Terry will share her insight and then introduce and turn the time over to her colleagues. She will then return for closing remarks. Please help me to welcome Terry Kane.
Hello, friends. Whoa, I got to make sure you can hear me well, but this is my favorite time of year, too, and wonderful to be here with all of our business leaders here in the chamber. Thank you for coming. We have a wonderful story to tell you. We've been telling it as far as we can and as wide as we can. We really believe that we're going to make the biggest impact on treating cancer patients and maybe beyond even treating cancer patients as we learn more knowledge about analyzing our DNA and the difference it can make in personalized medicine. So before I get started and introduce our really fantastic team, I'd also like to thank John Jones for sponsoring our luncheon today at Cache Valley Bank and for being a good partner in our community. So thank you very much for doing that. And I'd also like to please ask if my team at the hospital, our foundation team, our governing boards, our foundation boards, and our executive team, many that are sitting in our audience here to celebrate the season with us, if they would just stand so you know the many great people I have built around us that make wonderful things happen at our hospital. Thank you all very much. So there's a slide soon to be coming up here, and we're going to introduce our wonderful genomics team. I won't go through each one of their names here, but each one of them plays a very important part in the strong work that we're doing in the fight against cancer. And I'm going to introduce what we've been doing here with a short video from one of our patients whose name is Larry Gabriel. Larry came to us with a problem. He'd been a lot of places across the country with a serious cancer and was scoping out any possibility that he could have that might help extend his life. So I'd like to just turn the time over to Larry to tell his story.
I've probably went through every treatment modality that's possible in the course of trying to overcome this disease. I've had multiple surgeries, including extensive surgeries, and part of numerous things taken out of my body. I was pretty pessimistic on my chances. I was really lucky to have been where I was and still alive at that point because, approximately 4 or 5 years before that, I remember at the Cleveland Clinic, the head of oncology told me I had a 1% chance of being alive in 1 year's time. And I thought, well, this is it. I've been lucky to make it this far, and I really, was grateful that I had. And I had a lot of great years, but I thought, this is probably it, but let's see what this guy has to say.
We were able to perform a genomic analysis looking for the best treatment options for him, and we found a particular gene that suggested he might respond really well to a certain treatment. In his case, it was actually a chemotherapy as opposed to many of our targeted treatments, but the gene we found altered in his tumor suggested that. We gave him that treatment, and he has had a remarkable response. In fact, he's disease-free and has been so for a few years now.
I give him and Intermountain all the credit in the world for really saving my life, and with this new approach, and he described it to me, and it sounded like, wow, this is really something great and something new. And I said I'd been to arguably the best places, some of the best hospitals certainly in the world at Johns Hopkins and the Cleveland Clinic, and this was something that was unique that he was offering me that they didn't, and I said, well, I'm all for it. Let's see if this could possibly work. I pulled out of it. I decided I was going to go back to work, and I worked part-time, and I work about half the year and vacation half the year. I'm fortunate I'm an ophthalmologist. I love what I do. I get to help people to see better. But at this point in my life too, I enjoy time, with my wife. I enjoy time traveling. It's wonderful to have the time to be able to do that, to spend time, with your children, to enjoy life. I have the physical side, I have the mental side, the work side, and I just feel that I'm experiencing all that and very thankful for it. And once more, thanking everybody at Precision Genomics for their big part in making that all happen.
That's a fantastic story. All of us can put ourselves in his shoes, I think. We know loved ones, neighbors, and friends who've all suffered from cancer. Wouldn't it be wonderful if something we're doing is the answer? And I would be remiss if I didn't say, in gratitude to all of you, thank you for supporting us in this endeavor. When you raise your bid card at the gala, or when you support us with your volunteer time, or even words of encouragement, it means so much to the work that we are doing. So you're going to hear from all the experts. Some of them, we have a very broad team. But let me introduce our operations officer over the precision medicine program first, Gary Stone. And I will say this, that all of our great physicians that work in precision genomics also need a really great operator, somebody who understands how to manage budgets and people and to remove barriers and access resources so our physicians can do the work that they need to do. So with that, Gary is going to introduce our program and tell you a little bit about our team.
Thank you, Terry. Will you please join with me in a standing ovation right now for Terry Kane, please? Terry has been here for such a long time and deserves our great honor. So thank you, Terry. I know many of you have listened to her speak at this chamber every year and many other settings at the Chamber of Commerce. And really, we wouldn't be here today if it were not for Terry. And I've worked with Terry for many years. I started with her when I was probably 26. So in many ways, she's been my mom and raised me in leadership. And genomics wouldn't be here today without Terry. So it's important that we honor her. And I will tell you, I go off script, so whatever's on the slides, bear with me. But I think it's so important that we have an opportunity to emphasize the tremendous work that has happened in the community of St. George. And again, I go back to Terry, and I hope I'm not embarrassing her, but the hospital and the services that exist in the hospital today, I remember being with her before the new hospital was even built, and she had a vision. And that vision included a destination facility, a destination hospital that included neurosurgery. And I've worked as a nurse with neurosurgeons, and I can tell you, I wasn't excited about a neurosurgical program, but she recruited with Mitch and others the best neurosurgeons you could ever find that are so great to work with. A neonatology program, a NICU in this little community, a hospital the size of the one that we have, and then this massive project that's undergoing construction right now, and then I think as a crowning jewel, our cancer program. And I have to tell you, every single time that I would go to Terry or others of us on her team and say, we've got a kind of an idea that's crazy. We want to hire medical oncologists. We wanted to establish a destination cancer center. We want to partner with Stanford University and start a genomics program. She would always say yes. And so it's a tremendous honor to work with her, and I want to make sure that we understand what she has done and what she'll continue to do for the company. And I also want to emphasize that Terry is being really highlighted she's kicking me to stop. She's being highlighted, and this is a compliment to St. George, to lead the program for all clinical programs for the entire company of Intermountain Healthcare, and she's doing that from here. So each of you that have supported us and supported really centering the community around healthcare and advancing our services, thank you. Because it is because of your work and your effort and your support of us that we now get to support the entire Intermountain system in very important ways from this community. One of the things to focus on also is medical innovation and science. And I don't think the community fully understands the significance of having a genomics program happening right here in St. George. So I want to try to highlight that. And the best way that I can do that is to help you understand the genome. Really quickly, if you think about your body as hardware and your genome is your software. So when you think about a computer hardware, Windows operates that computer or whatever operating system you have. It's the software that makes the hardware work every day. Each of you are eating right now. So your software is working. Your genome is working right now. And it's telling your pancreas, I'm oversimplifying, but it's telling your pancreas to secrete insulin to begin the process of breaking down food so that your body and cells can use it. That's all the genome really is. And sometimes I think people get confused with genetics. They think it's the reason I don't have any hair because my grandfather didn't have any hair. It's what we inherit, or my blue eyes, or Derek's very gray hair, if I can tease him for a second about that. But those are things that we inherit, and it does relate to our genome, but our genomes have a very active role in our health today. And since 2003, since the whole genome was sequenced, we learned tremendous things about the genome and discovered really that the remaining diseases that are chronic, like cancer and diabetes, Alzheimer's, depression, these diseases that plague us in the 21st century are a result of what we are calling a genomic pathology, a mutation in your software that's telling your body to not function correctly, either growing too many cells or not growing enough. And so that really is the work that we started here with Dr. Haslam and Dr. Nadal. So what is genomics today, and what does it mean in the future? Genomics is truly patient-centered. So if you think about the way we treat chronic disease, and I'll use depression for an example. Right now, when you are treating a patient with depression, you give them an antidepressant, and that medication is the same medication that's ordered for anybody with depression. A certain dosage of Prozac or of citralopam, and that's not individualized to the patient, is it? And if you've ever had family members experience that, or if you've experienced it yourself, you have to go through a period of trial and error before you get that medication working correctly for you. That's because your genome is processing that medication differently from your friends and neighbors. So really, genomics is very patient-centric. And it is the future of medicine because it translates really the underlying science of medicine. The other thing that's important with genomics and the work that we're doing, and I'm showing here the open network, Dr. Nadal, who is our lead and executive director for our genomics program for the system of Intermountain, he went to Washington, D.C. last year to speak to this new open network, which is a way for us to share genomic data. As we begin to share more data with each other and other organizations across the country, we can learn more about the genome. We can learn more about what mutations are impacting things like Alzheimer's or even causing Alzheimer's or autism. That really requires lots of data. And so in our journey to solve the problem of cancer, we're partnering with organizations across the country and really the world to share our data and work on finding those new discoveries. So just a little bit about our current operations, and I'll turn the time to Bryce Moulton, our research director. We have the Translational Science Center that really does the work of discovery. we have some of the most incredible and advanced scientific technology that you would find in the United States. Again, right here in this small community, where we can sequence thousands, tens of thousands of whole genomes. So we truly have a genome center here in St. George. That work is really important for the things that I discussed earlier in terms of discovery in many diseases beyond cancer. We also have our Clinical Genomics Center. So as we begin to define discoveries and work through our Genome Center in the translational part of our work, we then translate that to the clinical care of patients. So it actually gets to the patient. It's not just research in a lab that we kind of hide around for 20 years. Right now, people in our community are being treated for cancer based upon their genomics with a targeted therapy other than chemotherapy and even immunotherapy, helping the immune system, which Dr. Rhodes will talk about, helping the immune system fight these mutations. There are people in our community right now who are receiving their mental health and psychiatric care through genomics and genomic medicine. What an incredible time in history. This truly is an age of enlightenment. This is truly an age of discovery, and it's happening right here in your hometown. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. My name is Bryce Moulton. I'm the Director of Clinical Research for Precision Genomics. I've been here living in St. George for just over 2 years. I feel like I'm still getting used to the climate here. This time of year, I actually do really enjoy it. It reminds me why it's a good place to live. So I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit today about what we're doing in terms of some of the research studies. When I think about clinical research, a good way to describe that is any research that involves kind of the human counterpart. And so there's, research is a broad term. It can be defined a lot of different ways. Clinical research is really kind of involving human subjects and in the clinical setting. And so we can look at ways in which patients are affected through genomics, especially in cancer. We can, there's lots of different types of clinical research that you can apply through drugs, through looking at different ways of treating a patient through different technologies, through genomics, and those types of studies are everything under that is what we're doing now in precision genomics, and it's a really exciting time. So, oops, there we go. So Gary really touched on this. We are at such an incredible time in our lives where we know more than ever about our DNA, about our genomics, about really those building blocks of life. And it's created so many opportunities for us as caregivers, as clinicians. And one thing that's really unique about Intermountain is this whole idea of translational medicine. And it's really what what motivates me is really being able to take what I know to be true, what I've learned in school, and kind of those basic science principles, but then translate that into the clinical setting and ultimately have impact on our patients, on our cancer patients. That's what's so unique about Intermountain, is really realizing translational medicine. I came from the academic setting, and to some degree we can do that, but here at Intermountain we have access to opportunities that really help us translate these principles into clinical utility, into clinical application. That's so unique, and it's one thing that really sets us apart, and so there's such an opportunity. So one of the studies that we're doing is called the CREST study. And our studies, we like to give them somewhat these kind of funny names, these acronyms, because it's a lot harder to say circulating tumor breast cancer study a lot. But so you can kind of see how we come up with these names, with these acronyms. The CREST study is looking at what's called circulating tumor DNA. And we do this to hopefully one day establish a DNA fingerprint or identify a biomarker for breast cancer, this would be a way to ultimately predict whether somebody might develop breast cancer or maybe even has breast cancer, and the earlier we can treat that, the better. And so the CREST study, what that does is we're looking at circulating tumor DNA as DNA that's shed from the primary tumor site. We're able to, sorry, I'm having a problem apparently. We're able to sequence DNA that's in the bloodstream rather than have a tissue biopsy performed. And so most of us, right, have had a blood draw. It's not the most uncomfortable thing, but it's a much better experience than an actual surgery or a biopsy that may need to be performed. And so this is a really exciting opportunity for us to look at the ctDNA that's in our blood if we're a potential cancer patient and sequence that and ultimately determine, could this be a way to predict whether we have breast cancer? It's really, the hope is that it's not necessarily going to replace a mammogram, so to say, but could augment that process. This could be done while you're seeing your primary care physician. This could be ultimately just a blood test that you're given, and the results would come back and tell you whether or not you're potentially going to get breast cancer or not. It's an exciting study, and I think, again, we're in a unique opportunity to be able to do something like this here at Intermountain. The other study I did want to talk about was, Gary alluded to this, is our, what we're calling our PGX GAP study. It stands for Pharmacogenetic Guided Antidepressant Prescribing Trial. It's a kind of a long name, that's why we call it PGX GAP. This is using a product that we call RX Match. It's a genomics test. Patients will give us a cheek swab. We're able to sequence that DNA and ultimately tell them which drug and then which dose they should be on. This is really important. We do know that about almost half of all depression patients do not get the right dose the first time. They can spend months or even years trying to find that right combination. And this, of course, is, it's hard on the patient, but it can also cost a lot of money as well. So there's a lot of variables in play, and so this study, there's a lot of benefit by looking at genomics in treating depression. We have a lot of benefits to be had by that. And so, so I just wanted to kind of close on this. Intermountain, we have such a unique setting in that we have an integrated payer in Select Health. With that, we have access to financial information. So we can not only assess the efficacy from a patient perspective, but also look at the cost benefits that we're saving by getting those patients the right drug immediately rather than over time. And this is important. This is really helping our patients save money. It's helping our communities and our system save money. And that's really important right now in healthcare with all of the different pressures that we're facing. I think my final sort of comment, I'll go back to this translational medicine idea, is one thing that's really unique as well is we have caregivers and clinicians. I often refer to these guys as our investigators, but they're doctors, they're caregivers first and foremost. They're concerned about our patients. They're not concerned about a study getting published or some data. They're concerned about what this means for our patients. And I love that. That's why I work here. And that's why I'll continue to work here for a while. So thanks so much, you guys.
Well, it's good to be here again. I'm really excited. My name is Derek Haslam. You know, just to echo John Jones's comments, it was really good to run into him today where we went to high school together and he lives across the street from me. But I honestly didn't know he had a job. So this was really good to be able to see that he's not slumming yet, that's right. So I wanted to take a moment, you know, and the other thing I'll pick on John for just a little bit is as he was giving his comments and remarks, he sort of made this Freudian slip of calling it precision economics. And, you know, I thought that was the first time I'd heard that. And, but, you know, as I've thought about it for a minute, you know, that's one of the kind of the byproducts of what's happening here in our community as we bring in and establish our precision genomics program and our lab and all the great things that Gary and Bryce talked about. the people we're bringing into this community and the jobs we're bringing into this community is really solidifying, and offering an opportunity for these young high school students to be able to come back to our community and have these really great technical jobs in biotech, and we just feel like that this is just going to continue happening over and over again. And so I'm going to start using precision economics as part of this too. So thanks, John. I owe you again. Just to give a little bit of a sense of how big Intermountain Healthcare is, we treat, our facilities are spread throughout the state, obviously in Intermountain West, and we go up into Idaho as well. We have 24 hospitals and hundreds of clinics, and we see in the Intermountain system over 6,000 new cancer patients that are newly diagnosed with cancer on an annual basis. And it really is our mission to help people live the healthiest lives possible. Whether that means somebody with metastatic cancer or somebody who's going in for their well child check. We really want people to do that, and we that is our heartfelt goal and our mission to be able to accomplish. And the way we've set up our cancer program and certainly in precision genomics really helps facilitate that as well. As we set up our program, the number one aspect is that we wanted it to be very patient-centric, and I know that's been mentioned, but that is key and fundamental to what we do. We know that based on a lot of studies and based on a lot of interviews, that patients, especially cancer patients, want three specific things. They want, number one, they want expertise. They want to know that they're getting the latest and greatest, that their providers are up to date on what's out there, the latest studies, the latest treatment modalities, and they want to know that they're able to get that. They also want convenience. So we know that patients don't want to travel long distances to get their care, and it's particularly if they have cancer. Oftentimes you don't feel well, and it's not worth driving hours and hours to get these treatments, and sometimes the treatments in and of themselves make people sick. And they want, the third thing is they want support. They want to be able to know that their hand is going to be held throughout their whole cancer journey, from the time they're diagnosed to the time they're cured and enter into survivorship, or even those times when we have to help them through that transition and through the dying process. And we know they want that support, and so our whole program has been set up around that. One of the ways we've been able to accomplish that is through telehealth. I wanted to spend a moment talking about this. Now, this picture shows one of our coolest docs providing tele-oncology care. And it so happened that this was just before I came to this luncheon, actually, I was taking care of a patient up in rural Cache Valley. And, it goes to this fact that patients just want to be taken care of close to home. And with these new treatments that we have available and these new treatment modalities, and with science and technology the way they are, there's no reason that we can't take care of people close to home. And so we've been able to accomplish that. Our first tele-oncology clinic was in Richfield. Richfield is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's 2 hours from Provo, and people don't like the traffic up in Provo, and they don't like to travel over the mountain passes down to Cedar City. And so we heard of cancer patients in Richfield that were being diagnosed with cancer and then not even seeking any medical care because they didn't want to go through the efforts of having to travel. So we set up this tele-oncology clinic and have been able to help out hundreds of patients there in Sevier County get great oncology care, the same type of care they'd get right here in St. George or Salt Lake or anywhere in between. So it's been really a great opportunity and a great mode for delivering these cancer care the way we want it. This is just an example of where we currently have our cancer centers throughout the Intermountain system that we lead here in southern Utah. It's all led out of here, and all the telehealth is done from here. And where we're looking to expand currently and then in the near future as well. So you can see that we have a great reach across the Intermountain West and are looking for more places to expand even then. This is a picture of the building that we're talking about. So it's going up, it's just north of the Health and Performance Center, and just between the Health and Performance Center and the Dixie State Taylor Science Center, Taylor Health Science Center. And it's going to be this great place where we're going to be able to combine all the things that have been talked about here, not only the scientific discovery and the technological advances that we're talking about, but also the patient-centered care that we're looking to deliver. We are not aware of any other place in the Intermountain West, certainly, or it's unique outside of an academic center where you're able to combine in the same walls scientific discovery and patient care. And we just are so excited about it, to be able to have a patient see that science and that technology and that advancement happening right before their eyes, and we think it'll bring even more hope to their cancer and to their situation. We really appreciate all the support from the Chamber, and look forward to this and the rest of the Jubilee.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. I want to let you know that I have two bosses, two immediate bosses. I appreciate the stars, analogy, because these two bosses shine in different ways. One, depending on the light, how it reflects off of his head, the light becomes so bright that while he's educating me on what I should be doing, I can't see his face, and that is Gary Stone. And then the other boss is like a Zeus-like figure, a god-like figure with silvery hair that shines so bright, and you get lost. And it's such a beauty to see. And you might not know that these men are the reason why I'm here, and including, Terry Kane. When I interviewed here, I was overwhelmed with the support that was to be had. So I want to talk to you, and I'm going to break some science down for you. And I know that when you first saw me, you're probably confused about me talking science, because you're probably thinking Olympic athlete, action movie star, something basketball player is my guess. But I am a nerd, so your confusion may be helped. But in any case, I want to talk about science, and I talk about our immune system. So precision genomics is the science that helps us understand how to kill a tumor cell. Immunotherapy, or immuno-oncology, or cancer immunotherapy, is the science behind helping our immune system kill that cancer cell. And so everybody has the chance, everybody has the potential for our immune system to kill cancer cells. Is when our cancer cells that develop evade the immune system, that's when things become a problem. So you want to use some very technical figures here. These are called emojis. You may or may not be familiar with these, but these emojis are going to help me explain things. So every immune cell in our body, represented with a halo, it goes around and senses or has a handshake with every cell in our body. And if it's a good cell and the immune cell says this is a good cell, it needs to stay and remain and do what it's supposed to do, then it goes on and tries to figure out something else. But if the immune cell finds a bad cell, then that bad cell becomes a problem, and that immune cell kills that bad cell. So there was some animation, and it's gone. But in any case, the immune cell then kills that bad cell. So when things go wrong and your immune system is overactive, then you get diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, some thyroid diseases, and things like that. When your immune system can't find a person's cancer cell to kill it, then cancer develops. So this is a very complicated handshake. There's lots of things that happen. There's lots of proteins that are presented on the tumor cell. There's a lot of proteins that are presented on the immune cell. These proteins get together, and the immune cell has to decide whether it's time for that cell to die or not, and whether that cancer cell is going to evade that immune system. And again, I don't want to get too sciencey, but there's this cancer immune editing theory where the cells that figure out how to evade the immune system grow, and the immune system is silent in that regard. So I wanted to explain that there are a number of immunotherapies, and all oncologists should be able to deliver these immunotherapies. And these immunotherapies teaches your immune system how the cancer can be revealed to the immune system. So the FDA approved a number of immune therapies. Some of these are called checkpoint inhibitors. Some of them are viruses that are mutated, that are genetically engineered. We now in our clinic in St. George are injecting a FDA-approved imlygic oncolytic virus into the tumors, and the tumors are starting to disappear. In addition, you may have, in the news reports, you may have seen something about CAR T therapies, where patients' immune cells are taken out of their body through their blood, and then in the lab, they genetically engineer that immune cell to find a specific target on that cancer, and then it's expanded in the lab, and then those expanded immune cells are now a living drug where they go back into the patient's system and the circulation and kill cancer. So, like I mentioned earlier, this is a complicated process, and this is what we're trying to cipher out. Immunotherapy doesn't work for everybody, and we need to figure out it's going to work for and who is not going to work for. So here in this little graphic, I said precision genomics is really DNA sequencing to kill cancer cells, and then of course here on the right, or your left, precision immunotherapy, visualizing that handshake to be able to tell who will respond and who won't. Now, the things that we have done and things that Terry Kane and Gary Stone has helped us with is to be able to buy equipment and invest in our patients and our patients' future. And so we have something called a Helios or Hyperion. A Hyperion is actually, we have the first machine that was ever sold as a product in the United States, and it was installed 2 months ago. And this is going to help us visualize that handshake. If we can if we can look and see what the tumor is doing and visualize what the immune system is doing within that tumor and what it's doing for cancer, we're going to be able to fight this disease even better and use immunotherapies in that process. Today I had clinic, and after this lunch, I'll go back to my clinic and see patients. This slide is a perfect example of what happened to me today with 2 different patients. One patient went to hospice because I wasn't able to figure out how to encourage her to take immunotherapy. She had a bladder cancer. And after a few months, she changed her mind, and then she came to me, and I gave her immunotherapy. After a few rounds of immunotherapy, we got a scan, and she had a complete response. There was no evidence of cancer in her body. I encouraged her to continue immunotherapy, and she says, I'm good. I don't want to do any more immunotherapy. And so several months later, today, we got another scan, and again, a complete response, no evidence of cancer. The other patient that I had had a colon cancer. We did precision genomics, sequenced his tumor, and found that he would most likely respond to a pill therapy instead of an IV therapy. And today I got to tell him that his cancer is stable. Unfortunately, it's not a complete response, but his cancer is not growing because we have given that pill therapy that is not indicated in colon cancer, but is working in him. So again, with these technologies that we have and with the science and the expertise that we're building, we're going to provide a better future for our cancer patients. I have this one last slide, which I already talked about. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Terry Kane. Thank you.
Well, you now have a small view into the window of work that happens in our hospital and particularly in our precision medicine program. I hope you've been inspired today because this is the hope of our future for so many of the people that need us here. We have people flying in from other parts of the country, and we also have a program where people can send us tissue samples. We can sequence them in our laboratory. We can give results to their medical oncologist and help people in other states treat patients with end-stage cancer disease. So I believe we're a little bit of the hope for the future. Any support that you can continue to give us is so greatly appreciated. Having our community, I want you to know that the hospital, everything we've been able to accomplish over the years has been done in partnership with our great community. And we're grateful to each one of you for the role you've played in that. Thank you very much for being here today. And with that, Pam, do I turn it back to you? Thanks again.
Thank you. Let's give another round of applause to Intermountain Healthcare, Dixie Regional, Genomics, and all that they're doing. It's incredible. Thank you to all of you. Well, thank you very much for coming to the luncheon. I want a special thanks to our community education channel back there. They're videotaping, and you can watch this on YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/communityeducationchannel.com. Is that right? Something like that. But anyway, you can find it out there. Thank you for coming. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And if I don't see you over the Christmas holidays, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Go out and look at these beautiful trees, everything that's in here, and thank you again for being with us today.